Tony Williams, and welcome to Brooklyn Savvy. So what are the dynamics in marital relationships that are under the glare of politics? What are the risks and rewards? How do you maintain your partnership while still being true to who you are? And what exactly does it mean to stand by your man? We'll be discussing these issues from a Brooklyn-centric perspective. Later on in the program, we'll talk to Brooklyn's first couple, Marty and Jamie Markowitz, who share their experiences and insights. So here's our savvy panel: Karen Oster, Denise Arbisu, Devorah Halberstam, and of course, Lisa Bing. Welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for joining us once again. There's been a lot of talk about Elizabeth Edwards, her loss of a child, terminal cancer, her unfaithful husband. So why do you think she's decided to stand by her man? Denise, you care to comment on that? Or was it standing by her man in her book, Resilience? Was she standing by her man?
I believe she loves her husband and her family. She's had a very enriching life. She has had a privileged life from every aspect, including spirituality. And I believe she wants to maintain that wholesome family life that she grew up with and has continued to carry that through her whole life.
I agree with you. I think that she also is standing by her family.
Right.
You know, she thinks she's doing what she's doing what's best for her children. I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah. But when we talk about her life and the complexities, again, this is a woman who has terminal cancer, loss of a child. I mean,
well, you know, I read her book, Resilience is what you're talking about, and what struck me was that her husband was not her life, but a piece of her life.
Right.
And so, you know, when she talks about all of her experiences, that's just one part, and a small part in some respects.
but so why do you think she's talking about something so private, making it so public?
You know, in reading the book, I felt very deeply affected by it. I thought it was one of the most beautiful books that I've ever read. I just couldn't put it down until I finished the book. And I think what touched me the most as a parent who has lost a child, actually at the same age as her son, died at the age of 16, and he was 6 feet tall, as my son was 6 feet tall. I felt throughout the book that that was her reference point in everything that happened. After that, it was an amazing thing. She saw everything through that prism. It was her lens that she saw everything else that happened after that.
Was the book a healing process? Like, is that what you think, why she wrote the book? Is it part of the healing process?
I don't think it was necessarily healing. It was just a telling of the story, but I felt deep suffering there. I really felt the pain came through to me.
I do think, I mean, I was struck differently, and my experience, you know, I haven't had that experience, but the process of life, and I mean, you know, it was a well-written book, it was an easy read, and just the title, Resilience, how do you recover? And also, you know, the understanding that things happen, life is constantly evolving, it's dynamic, and when there's a loss, a huge disappointment, we have to redefine life going forward, not hoping that the past will resurface. And that was the guts of what I took from the book. And I agree with Devorah, though, that it was through the lens of the loss of her son. That helped her shape that perspective.
The part that I felt was when she disclosed a story about a table and how a table represented a family and the memories of a family, and this table in the story had broken a leg, and yet they were able to recreate and reinvent a new table, maybe a smaller table, but with 3 legs as opposed to the 4.
Right. That was more beautiful.
And that was, it was a phenomenal analogy, and the human spirit.
However, you know, there's a practical side to all of these political couples, and it has to do with the husband's career. I mean, what role do you think her husband's career played in her decision to stay with him?
Well, I don't think it actually had. I think she is the first woman in politics that has actually stood up to her husband in this. I think the very small chapter of that book is devoted to her husband's affair, but she's not embarrassed to come out with all of it.
Right.
I think she stood up to him.
I think she revealed her true
exactly,
self
her inner
and
self.
was true to herself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she's the first. Or
Yeah,
the
I'm with you, Lisa.
I don't think we can say that. I mean, you know,
probably right.
Hillary Clinton comes up right as the
In a different
the
way,
lightning
though.
rod for these marriages and so forth. I think though that isn't it a matter of that women make choices today that they they have different choices for marriage. You know, I'm not married, so you know, I've made some choices along the way. But there was a time, there was an economic reason for marriage, right? For the man and for the woman. The man needed someone to care for the home and take care so that he could go out and be all he could be. And that has shifted. So are women making different choices now? And do the men play a different role? I think that sometimes we look at this where the man is the center, and he's not.
Lisa,
he's a piece
if I may,
of it.
do you see the difference here between a relationship between Hillary and Bill versus the Edwards? And I strongly feel.
In what way do you see the
well,
difference?
I see a difference. Perhaps I'm being a little bit judgmental here in saying this,
No.
but I see the Edwards as a far more loving, demonstrative couple, and that we don't really
We know nothing.
We know nothing.
That's
Okay?
right.
So
We don't know.
know, but it's a
We don't know.
perception.
There's been news in the
Whereas-
press. The press has reported seeing Bill and Hillary recently holding hands at
Yes,
the Carlisle.
and I'll
you know,
give you that. I'll give you that.
That
reports-
doesn't mean a
But-
loving couple necessarily
but-
either.
But,
you know?
but
it's a
wasn't that,
relationship.
don't we think, though, that the media or women's groups were very much opposed to Hillary standing by Bill?
And that's what I was trying to get to. That I viewed Hillary as a feminist, a role model for women, and I just felt when this whole betrayal with Bill came out that she should have stood up and maybe. I just thought
And
she
done
would
what,
walk
Denise?
away.
And
I
done
felt
what? Stood up
she
and
would
done
have
what?
proclaimed, "I'm angry." I mean,
She did that.
She
though.
did, but
she really did.
She
She
did.
really
in
didn't.
her own way.
But
in her own
I
way.
felt she could have been stronger.
She
that
obviously
she should
made
have had a stronger
She obviously
point.
made a good decision because look, today she is Secretary of State.
Right.
So she had long-term
But
plans.
she paid a price, right?
We all pay prices.
Isn't marriage about paying a whole lot of prices?
But look at the press. Look how many people were antagonistic against Elizabeth Edwards. She's arrested for her standing up to I was shocked by all
Because
that.
what I'm hearing in our
and
panel
mostly
is-
by women, interestingly enough.
Yes,
And
and
what I'm
Hillary
hearing-
too. Hillary was
Yes.
attacked by women.
And what I'm hearing from our panel is that there is some admiration, but we are going to have to go to break.